I'm your host, Sabrina Salvati. I'm your host, Sabrina Salvati. What's going on, guys? Happy Monday. Shout out to everyone in the chat. Shout out to everyone watching on Rockfin. Yes. I do have a special guest with me. His name is Sharif Snuggs. He's going to tell you guys really quickly about a new direct action that's coming up. Sharif, welcome. What's going on?
Oh, welcome. Thank you, Sabrina. It's always a pleasure being on your podcast. I love being here.
Love having you come on. Everyone, Sharif is an activist and an organizer. He was actually one of the organizers for the marches for Medicare for All. But tonight he's going to tell us about a new direct action that's coming up shortly. And then after that, I'll get into tonight's news. So go ahead, Sharif.
Yeah, so at the March for Medicare for All, as many of you all know, after the march, we was thinking about what's the next step. So we had a Rich and Neil action, we have a Day of the Dead action, which we're protesting Pelosi, and so now the next action we're doing is Occupy Pfizer. And so a lot of people were asking, why Pfizer, why attack, a pharmaceutical company? And it's really simple. It's not a hard thing to wrap your head around. Pfizer offered free testing. Pfizer offered free vaccines. So at the march, our attitude is that's what Medicare for All is. That's what a single-payer healthcare system that is free at the point of service is where you don't pay for testing, you don't pay for vaccine, you don't pay for treatment, you don't pay for all these extra out-of-cost prices when you go to the hospital. And so we're asking Pfizer, quite simply, we want you to have that same energy across the board. We want you to adopt that same attitude with not just with COVID, but with cancer treatments and anything else that Americans face all the time. So we're drafting a letter, which we already have out right now, and that we're asking Pfizer to endorse a single-payer healthcare system. And if they don't, we want them to have a statement that's saying that they don't believe healthcare is human right. And if they don't do that, then we're going to keep protesting them, because you have to at least give us an answer. Like, not answering is not an answer. To most people, that means something. That Pfizer didn't respond, but we need them to respond. We need them to address this issue. We need them to say, why is COVID okay, and why all the other drugs, why all the other diseases, all the other things that we face is not okay. And so that needs to be addressed. And so that's why we're doing this.
That's a good point. I'm glad you said that. It shouldn't just be about this one issue. I have a letter here. I'm going to share my screen so you guys can see this really quick. There is a letter to them. Sharif, you want to read it or you want me to read it?
Yeah, I totally can read it. Absolutely. Dear Scott Gottlieb, as a board member of Pfizer, which bills itself as one of the world's premier pharmaceutical companies, and a person who was able to cash out your shares in the company for a payout of millions of dollars, the people of this country calls upon you to stand up in support of a single-payer healthcare system, which is free at the point of service for everyone in the United States. As a resident of the only country in the world where medical bankruptcy exists, we implore you to look beyond the potential future profits for yourself and the other Pfizer shareholders. As this country approaches 750,000 deaths from COVID, we believe it is long past time for a new healthcare system, a system where profit is not the guiding force for medical care, thus allowing the pursuit of healthy people rather than sustained treatment, a system that promotes preventive over medication, a system that allows physicians to be rewarded for patient care rather than patient billing, a system that doesn't allow 68,000 people to die needlessly every year because of lack of access to medicine or treatment. We are in the process of filing a human rights violation complaint against the United States of America with the United Nations. We will be seeking the assistance of the international community to stop the unnecessary deaths and trauma caused by a healthcare system that's fueled by greed. Our petition link can be found here. We are asking Pfizer to do one of the following: step up and support our efforts, or if Pfizer doesn't support our efforts, we are asking Pfizer to make a public statement that healthcare is not a privilege, but not a human right. If neither, you leave the American people with no choice but to take direct action against Pfizer. So this letter campaign we're going to be sending out this week, we're asking people to give us your name, give us your address, and we'll mail these letters out to Pfizer on your behalf. So you don't have to pay any money for stamps. You don't have to pay any money for the envelope. If you have any medical bills you want to share to Pfizer, if you want to have any grievances that you want to share in general, we're going to share it out, because this needs to happen. We need to let people know that, publicly know that this is something that the American people are going through. Every time we have an action, whether it's a Rich Neal action, even the Day of the Dead action, which didn't happen yet, even the March for Medicare for All, people sharing stories that what they're going through or what their family's going through. And I think that we need to let Pfizer and Aetna and any other healthcare provider know that this is what's happening. This is what your profits are contributing to. And the fact that they're not adhering to that, or like even acknowledging that, is a problem. We need to get them to go on record saying something to address that. If they don't say anything, they ignore it, we have to keep pressuring them. We have to keep going back to them. This is not something that we're going to go away. We need you to address why you feel it's okay to do one thing with COVID and not something with anything else.
Mm-hmm. Well said. Thanks so much, Roger Meadows, for the super chat. Sharif, are you in New Jersey, the big pharma capital of the U.S.?
No, I'm in New York. So we're going after the Pfizer headquarters here in New York. If anyone lives in New York, anyone lives close by to New York, if you want to travel in from New Jersey, we'll welcome you. Seriously, the link for the event will be this week. We're setting that up right now. We just want to make sure the letter was good. We want to make sure we have the letter campaign is going well. We're actually going to have graphics that's going to be done for this action as well. We have a merch store for the March for Medicare, so we're going to actually have our t-shirts for this. Mm-hmm. So we're really going to push this like we pushed the Day of the Dead action. So we're getting ready for that.
And I'll share all of that like on the show and FHL as well. No, this is really great, Sharif. And you guys, this is what organizing looks like when you're asking for something, having a letter and a list of demands. This is well thought out, Sharif. I just want to give you a round of applause, because like this isn't easy to do. And I think you're going to the right people. And you have a good point that like if they can do this for the pandemic, they can do it for other illnesses as well. And I'm glad that you mentioned that, because that oftentimes I feel like it's just forgotten. Like we're just supposed to forget about all the other illnesses that people have to deal with in this country. Thanks so much, Roger Meadows, for the super chat. Thanks. I am in Nassau County, Long Island, Hempstead.
Yeah, and just in case that if you never heard of the March for Medicare for All before, please go to our website where is www. M4 and all spelled out.org, and just reach out to us. You can get involved, even if you don't like this particular action. You can also do your own action with us, and we will definitely support that if it's in the community for helping push for a single payer healthcare system. We want to do it. So if you have any ideas or suggestions, please reach out to us. We're not a stranger. We definitely want to be in community with you. So if you're for healthcare justice, we want to work with you. It's as simple as that.
And Sharif, you're also going to be involved with the direct action for Julian as well, correct?
Yeah. So there's a Julian Assange protest against Netflix. So Netflix is doing a documentary that is basically smearing Julian Assange and his legacy. And so I was asked to speak at that action, and I said I would totally be there, because again, it's about being in community. That's what it's really about. And so we need to help our comrades for whatever we are passionate about. Some people is about free speech. I'm all about healthcare, but doesn't mean I won't show up to an action. I will definitely be there if someone invites me. I will totally be in community with you. So whatever it is, we have to do it. This is how things get done, right? So we want things in our community, we want things in our country to get handled. We have to be in community. We have to work together to get that done. And that's beautiful what you guys do at the Fred Hampton Leftists. You guys are all about that, and that's why so many of us watch and support what you guys are doing, because that's how it gets done, right? That's how things actually happen. You have to be in community with the community.
Absolutely. Sharif, thanks so much for coming on and telling us about it. Once you have the links, just send it to me and I'll go ahead and put it on here as well.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Sabrina. Enjoy the rest
Thanks
of
for
your night.
coming on. Bye.
Absolutely. Bye.
All right, guys. Yeah, I told you we like to talk about direct action on the show, let you guys know what's going on. That is one thing I will say, like on here and on FHL, that's something you will hear us talk about a lot. So we want to let you know about all these events that are going on that you just may not hear about on some of the larger channels. Like, let's just be real. So I want to make sure you guys know about that. If you have the opportunity to go, please do so, especially if you're in New York. There's two direct action events that'll be happening in New York. And you guys may have seen, I brought on activists about a week and a half ago for the protests outside Nancy Pelosi's house. That's going to be in San Francisco, October 30th. And if you are in the San Francisco, Bay Area and you can be there, definitely be there. Shahid Buttar is going to be at that event as well. So got to make sure I tell you guys about direct action. You got to know about these things that are going on. I think that Sharif is one of those, organizers that, like, when he goes all in, he goes all in. And I've seen him do like phenomenal things, like the way that him and Savage Joy, like they put together these marches all across the country in July. How do you do that like during a pandemic and people with different time zones and people you've never met? And, so it takes a lot of organizing. And for those of you who don't know, like all of us like have regular jobs too, like this isn't something like the podcast isn't what I do like full time. Hopefully one day I can, but as it is right now, like we have regular jobs as well. So we're busy people. And so please make sure you share that direct action information because we need to get as many people there as possible. All right, all right, all right. And I forgot to say this earlier, but welcome to Sabby Sabs Podcast. I'm your host, Sabrina Salvati. If you're new, Sabby Sabs Podcast is a part of the Fred Hampton Leftist Network. You can catch me there Thursdays for the Roundtable and Fridays for the Sabby Sabs Show. And then you can catch me here pretty much Monday through Friday minus Thursday because I'm on the Roundtable. And then I did an upload on Saturday and some of you reached out and told me you liked me doing that. So I might continue to do that. I don't usually live stream on the weekend because that's time that I spend like, that's like me and husband time. So that's why I don't usually live stream on the weekend unless I have an interview with someone and that's the only time that they're available. Excuse me, I got to clear my voice. All right. So let's get into tonight's news, you guys, because, I've about had it with Barack Obama. Let me go ahead and share my screen and tell you what we're going to be talking about tonight. Let's talk about Mr. O. So tonight, we're going to talk about Obama's cringe speech. Yes, Obama was in New Jersey and Virginia making the rounds over the weekend, trying to get people to continue to simp for the Democratic Party. I'm going to get into that. Tapper pushes Pelosi. So Jake Tapper had an interview with Nancy Pelosi. I'll show you the videos and we'll get into that. There's some funny moments. And our favorite person, being sarcastic, of course, Joe Biden cancels free community college. Oh, what happened to that promise that he said he was going to keep? What do you know? Canceled. So we're going to get into those topics tonight. I'm going to go ahead and start off with the Obama story because I just can't. Delthea Simmons, what's up? Sabby, you just had it with Obama, LOL. It's like every time I think this man has taken a step back and is going to spend that time with his family. Remember that was a whole thing like Michelle talked about, spending time with the family. He pops up right when we think we're about to get progress and he ruins it every time. Every time. Although when he tried to ruin defund the police, he got a lot of blowback for that. I don't think he was expecting that, to be honest with you. But well-deserved pushback, of course. So let's get into what happened in New Jersey. Now, New Jersey and Virginia are having they're having their gubernatorial races. And you guys may have seen I brought on Princess Blanding from Virginia. She's running as a part of the Liberation Party, third party candidate, strong candidate. And they would not let her debate, even though she met the requirements to be on the debate stage. She showed up, they wouldn't let her speak. Do you think that is who Obama went to support? No. Of course, he supported the Democrat candidate. Same thing in New Jersey. Let me show you what happened in New Jersey. I have a video clip of this as well, but I'm just going to show you the article first. You punks. All right. Not you guys. I was talking about the ad blocker. They made me disable it. Punks. All right, here we go, ladies and gentlemen. Barack Obama stumps for Murphy at Newark rally as early voting begins in New Jersey governor race. So this was one of the stops that he made. Former President Barack Obama visited Newark on Saturday to call New Jerseyans, I didn't know they were called that, that's funny, to re-elect Governor Phil Murphy, saying politics across the world are at a turning point. And Murphy's increasingly tense race against Republican challenger Jack Ciattarelli is a choice between moving forward or backwards. I strongly disagree with that. I don't think either one of them is going to mean you're moving forward. I think both of those choices means that you are moving backwards because you are still voting for the duopoly. So that's that. Obama told a crowd of more than 7,000 people at an outdoor rally for Murphy, a fellow Democrat, that there's a mood out there, a politics of meanness and division and conflict and tribalism and cynicism. I'm not going to read all of this because I do want to play that video for you. So I'm going to scroll down here and it says, the appearance came the same day early in-person voting began for the first time in New Jersey history, giving voters a chance to cast ballots for 9 days leading up to Election Day, which is November 2nd, which is right around the corner, actually. Can't believe it's almost November. Jeez. Obama encouraged the audience filled with Democratic voters and union members not to wait. Let me pop out because I want to play this video for you, but I want to tell you something first. I believe it was just Friday when I told you guys how the Democratic Party will use Black people, Latino people to try to convince other Black voters to continue to vote for the Democratic Party. They've been doing this for a while. And there's no one better to get to do that than Barack Obama. Remember when they had Obama come to Georgia? Remember that? Stacey Abrams. This is what they do. Barack Obama is no longer president. And he is the one that they send out to encourage voters to vote for other candidates in the Democratic Party. Have you guys noticed that? I don't remember Bill Clinton doing this. I don't remember Bush W or W Bush, whatever, Bushes. I don't remember him doing this. They may have, and maybe I just wasn't in tune. I don't know. But Obama is one that they continue to bring back to push their propaganda, and it is problematic. Now, he gave a speech at this New Jersey event that I was not happy with, and I'm going to play that video for you. So let me go ahead and share my screen. And this was all over Twitter. I'm just going to be real. A lot of people are making fun of it. But all I'm going to say is like, he has some nerve.
I know why sometimes.
Let me, I hate when Twitter does this. Okay. Let me mute my mic and I'm going to go ahead and play this for you.
I know why sometimes folks just get tired and maybe they say, I'm not going to bother voting this time. But here's the thing, we can't afford to be tired. I remember in 2016, folks said, I'm not inspired. Obama was okay, but we didn't get everything I wanted. So I'm just going to sit it next to. And y'all know how that turned out. That's what happens when you're not paying attention. That's what happens when you become complacent or you let your frustration lead to inaction. We cannot afford to be tired because of the young people here and the ones who are coming. I know it's hard. Phil doesn't claim he's going to solve every problem in New Jersey right away. I didn't solve every problem when I was president. But the fact is that as hard as it is, we can still make it better. It's hard to undo the legacy of discrimination that goes back centuries, but we can make it better. It's hard to deal with special interests who want to keep the status quo when you're trying to make the economy more fair and just, but you can make it better. It's hard in a big country where people disagree to get everybody moving in the same direction, but we can do better than we're doing. We really can. We can make it better. And when you've got the right person in the job, we might not get every single person employed, but we can get more people, more jobs. We may not get every child the best education in the world right here in Newark. We can give a lot more kids better education here in Newark. I didn't get every American health care, but boy, we got a whole lot more people in America health care. It makes a difference when we decide to make things better. When you've got somebody in your corner who's shown you that they will work for you, who has a track record of accomplishment. You got to go out there and work for them. Not because everything's going to suddenly be perfect, but because it's going to be better. And you're preventing others from making it worse.
Real quick, shout out to Roger Meadows for the super chat. New Jersey Governor Murphy, not so bad. He ran on public banking. In 2019, he signed EO creating Public Bank Implementation Board. Pub banks, one of my top 5 priorities. Thanks so much for the super chat, Roger Meadows. So I have a lot of problems with some of the things that he said. Number one, he's using fear tactics. I don't like this. This is exactly what they did to people in 2016. So he says that, some people didn't want to vote in 2016. We all remember that was Hillary and Trump. And he said, so some people decided not to vote, and look how that turned out. See, again, he's trying to use fear tactics to push you to vote for the Democrat candidate. He's trying to invoke fear. Let's be very clear here. Jill Stein was a better candidate than Hillary Clinton. Let's be real. The Democratic Party pushed Hillary Clinton. She was not the best candidate. Period. The messages that they tried to deliver, especially on CNN, MSNBC, saying that, well, if you don't vote for Hillary, it means you're sexist. Using identity politics. And they would leave out the fact that there was another woman who was running. That is not okay. So I don't like when you have people like Barack Obama, let me go speak to this crowd and let me instill fear in them and make them think that if they choose not to vote again, they're going to get someone like Trump again. That's what he's doing. Next point, when he mentions we're not going to be perfect. I don't think anybody is asking politicians to be perfect. Are you guys asking them to be perfect? I'm not asking them to be perfect. What we are asking them to do is to do the things, or at least try to do the things that they run on. The issues, the policies that they talk about when they're campaigning, that they choose to ignore once they get in. So scrap that from your speech, Obama. The next thing that he mentions, and again, this is where Dems start to brag about things that you really should not brag about. He goes on to say, well, I sure didn't get everybody health care, but I got a lot more people covered. No, that is not a bragging point. You still have thousands and thousands of people in this country who do not have health insurance. Stop bragging about that. That is not something to brag about. He sounds just like Richie Torres. We're lifting half of the kids out of poverty. Okay, what do you say to the other half? They're just stuck. They're just screwed. The same mentality that we have for charter schools. When we tell these kids, hey, you have a chance to get out and get a better education if you get into this charter school. Okay, cool. What about the kids that don't get in? They just suck. Thanks so much, Roger Meadows, for the super chat. Oh, didn't give you health care that you didn't already have in Massachusetts, seeing that it was the blueprint for ACA. I guess you have to thank Mitt. That crowd was dead. Thanks so much for the super chat, Roger Meadows. It's absolutely ridiculous. And I'm so tired of it. I think I have another super chat here. Thanks so much for the super chat, Lynn B. Old Obama, hope and change. Current Obama, hope and cringe. I like that. That's a pretty good slogan. That could be like a t-shirt. Front and back. I like that, Lynn. Thanks so much for the super chat. I don't have time for this, man. I don't have time for it. It is not okay that everybody in this country is still not insured. It is not okay. Stop bragging about that. Well, I didn't get everybody health care. No. It is not okay when we have other countries in this world where everybody does have health care. And we're the wealthiest country. I can't make this up. Stop bragging about that. He kills me. New Jersey wasn't the only place that he went to. He also went to Virginia. And this one really pisses me off as well. Because he went to Virginia, and not just him, but also Stacey Abrams, of course, right? Told you this is what they do. Let's send 2 black people. And he went to Virginia in support of Terry McLaughlin. I think that's how you say his last name, whatevers. Who was running for governor of Virginia as a Democrat. Why didn't he support Princess Blanding? Princess Blanding. She's a black woman. She was on here a couple weeks ago. Third party candidate running a part of the Liberation Party. Has a lot of great ideas. Lives in rural America. Knows exactly what people need in rural America. Yet, she wasn't even allowed to debate. Had it not been for her speech that she gave to the media when she was like, no, you guys, this isn't right. I deserve the right to debate. She met the requirements, you guys. Had it not been for that video on Twitter, I probably would have never heard of Princess Blanding because mainstream media isn't going to talk about her. And that's one of the things I told you guys I'm going to continue to do, bringing on third-party candidates on this show. I have another one that's coming up in November. To introduce you to them, to get the word out about them. And I encourage you to share that information with your friends and family as well. We have to get the word out. Mainstream media greatly suppresses them. Doesn't want to support Princess Blanding. Probably didn't even mention her name. Always sticking within the duopoly. Shout out to the Traveler for the super chat. Stacey Abrams has lost her credibility after Mike Bloomberg. And it was pretty funny seeing her get rejected for VP on live TV. Thanks so much for the super chat, the Traveler. Yes, this is a problem. You know, when I first heard of Stacey Abrams and I heard that, you know, she was running up against, I forget the guy's name, but he's annoying. I think he was like cleaning a gun in one of like his campaign ads or whatever. But I was like, yeah, get him, get him, get him. When I heard that she was going around Georgia getting non-voters to register, to vote, I was like, yeah, do your thing. But then the more I learned about Stacey Abrams, I realized she's just as much a regular Democrat. It was another example of the Democratic Party saying, let's use a black face. Get that person out there to get black people to come and vote for the Democratic Party, because that's what you're voting for. You're voting for that party. If you think about it, we think we're voting for candidates. You're really voting for that party, because as we've seen with the squad, who were supposed to be progressive and were supposed to push against the establishment in the Democratic Party, once they're in, they fall in line. This is what they do. I told you on Friday, one of the most effective tools of white supremacy is to get black people to do it for you. That's Barack Obama. That's Kamala Harris. That's Stacey Abrams. They dress it up with a black face. Thanks so much, Delthea Simmons, for the super chat. Getting someone health insurance is not the same as getting people health care. Obama can take all the seats. Thanks so much for the super chat, Delthea Simmons. Yeah, it's just, look, have we learned nothing during this pandemic? Have they learned nothing? All the people that died. And it's not just with the pandemic. This happens every year. People who are uninsured, people who are underinsured, because even if you have health insurance, that still doesn't mean they're going to pay for everything. I know I've had some pretty expensive medical bills. Do you know how much it costs to go to the doctor's office if you don't have health insurance? I do. Because back in the day when I was waiting tables, guess what? I didn't have health insurance. My employer didn't offer it. Still had to go get my physical. You know how much that cost? That was $300. I think I was there maybe 20 minutes. So no, it's not a bragging right for Barack Obama to say, I didn't get everybody health care, but he even brought up the part about education. And ooh, if you're a teacher right now, you need to cringe. We may not get every kid great education. I can't believe he really said that. We may not get all the kids great education, but we did improve it. Everyone deserves to have a decent education in this country. Everyone. It's like saying, screw you to the half that didn't get that. Delthea Simmons said, there you go, Sabby. Underinsurance is rampant. It really is. And this is something people need to know. Just because someone has health insurance, that doesn't mean their health insurance actually pays much. A friend of mine sent me a screenshot of her medical bill one time. I'm not going to put it up on here. It has her name, information, all that jazz. Don't want to put her on blast like that. But she was telling me that she wanted me to see her medical bill with insurance. Do you know that even with insurance, after the insurance company paid, she still owed $1,500? $1,500. Some people don't make that in 1 month. And we're forever in debt to the insurance companies and to the pharmaceutical companies. It's a problem. It's a problem. Wesley says, I want to be a teacher and it makes me cringe. Yo, man. Oh, I wanted to be a teacher and it made me cringe. Yo, man. Find another profession. I'm telling. Same thing with higher education. Unless you're a dean, find another profession. Something that's going to pay those bills and also put money in your pocket so that you have savings. Education is not the way. Thanks so much, The Traveler, for the super chat. My health insurance company tried to charge me $800 for 2 COVID tests because the site I went to was out of network. I haven't paid a dime to them. So that's another thing that you brought up that's really interesting as well. The whole out of network problem. So, for example, thanks so much for the super chat. If you, let's say you went to go visit your mom. Let's say you live in New Jersey and your mom lives in South Carolina. You go visit your mom. While you're in South Carolina, let's say you get sick or you get injured. You go to the doctor to be treated. Well, depending on your health insurance plan, if South Carolina is considered out of network for you because it's not New Jersey, you might have to pay the whole thing, even though you have health insurance. Now, someone may say, well, what's the chances of that happening? It happens. People leave the state, people travel, people get sick, things happen. This is the country that we're living in, where someone like Obama, who makes me cringe, how he can just repeatedly show up when it's time for someone else to get elected and just push the crowd to vote for them. He did the same thing with Joe Biden. Let's be real here. If he didn't pick up that phone and tell Booty, I'm sorry, I'm saying that. I got to stop saying that. And tell Pete Buttigieg, Amy Klobuchar, if he didn't pick up that phone and tell them to drop out, oh, that race would have been a lot tighter. Let's be real. Between Bernie and Biden, that race would have been a lot tighter. They had to drop out for Biden to win. They had to be told to drop out for Biden to win. That's how bad of a candidate Joe Biden was. Ramsey said Canada is not great, but they have universal health care and some welfare programs. It's truth. It's truth. Sometimes I tell myself, like, man, I should have moved to Canada. Too cold, though. Colder than Boston. It's really cold up there. Let me tell you. Robert Escobar Show says, what do you think about going after local news here in Southern California? Right now, they're making a big deal about Magic Johnson remembering when he first came out with HIV. Why are they bringing that up again? Why? What is the reasoning for that? Because I don't know what their point is for bringing that up again. I mean, it's just, I don't know. I don't know how I feel about that. I don't understand what the whole point is. But here we are. All right. V.S. Adams said, my health insurance has a $3,000 deductible until I spend $3,000. It doesn't cover anything. I never use it. Yeah, I had a plan like that one time before too, and it's ridiculous. Like, you literally have to spend up to that amount before they will pay anything. Who comes up with these plans? What kind of plan is that, man? Really? Really? Ay. Speaking of healthcare, we're going into our next story. This is about Nancy Pelosi and Jake Tapper. This is one of the first things that comes up in this video is healthcare. So I'm going to play this clip for you. Let me go ahead and pause it here for a second. No, I don't want to purchase anything. Sorry, I was talking to the video, not you guys. Guys, don't forget, if you have a moment, don't forget to hit that like button. I forget to say that sometimes. That really does help me with the algorithm. So please hit that like button if you can and share with your friends and fam as well, son. All right, let me go ahead and share my screen because this, again, what she says here right in the beginning really makes me cringe. And I think I'm going to talk through this video while it's playing because She says so much here. It just bothers the hell out of me. All right, so let me go ahead and make this bigger. And I'm going to mute my mic for just a second.
Let me ask you, because one of the questions right now is paid family leave. You said that you hope that that's going to be in there, 4 weeks of paid family leave, and the expansion of Medicare to include dental, vision, and hearing coverage. Is that going to be in the bill?
Well, that's part of the negotiation. Dental is very expensive. So hearing and visual and dental, but dental will take a little longer to implement. But that's part of the negotiation right now.
So you don't know what's going to be in the final bill.
Well,
it sounds like you're saying dental might not make it because
it'll be on a path. It'll be on a path. But what they told us, and I don't quite understand why, but we've been told by people who know about these things that it'll take 5-6 years in order to implement the dental.
I'm sorry, I got to jump in here. It will take 5 to 6 years to implement the dental. Okay, so people who need like dental surgery, what the hell are they supposed to do? Wait 5 to 6 years? Do you guys know how important it is to take care of your teeth? And I want to get on a rant here for a second because I'm like anal about teeth. This is problematic in the point that if you have problems with your teeth and it goes on for so long, let's say you get a bacterial infection because of the tooth. Do you know that that can cause other illnesses in your body? Do you know that that can affect the rest of your body? Teeth are nothing to mess with, man. You got to take care of your teeth. This is freaking ridiculous. If you need braces, what are you supposed to do? And braces are expensive anyway. 5 to 6 years. Oh, and she said, we're on a path. We're on a path. Kind of reminds me of the path to citizenship. And I think some of you who've ever had to go through that in this country, you know how long that can take. So I don't want to hear about no path. Moving on.
So how do we, shall we say, fill in the blank there? Bernie has some suggestions about how to do that. That'll be part of the negotiation.
Bernie Sanders, the independent from Vermont. Sanders. Are you frustrated? I mean, you talk about how you're almost there, except for 10% of the bill, and you also talk about how the House is there. You guys are ready. You're going to pass it, and it's really these two Senate holdouts, Sinema and Manchin. Are you frustrated with them?
Well, I'm respectful of everybody's point of view. I do not want the I don't want the Trump tax cuts perpetuated. So I don't want anybody to think if we don't address the.
She said Bush. She said Bush instead of Trump. That was funny. I'm sorry. I'll go back now. I'm just being silly now. Now I'm just being ridiculous. Uh-oh. What'd I do with the video? Oh, there it is.
Those right now they're off the table. No, we will use them for something at some point, because you can't use the wealth tax and tax the billionaires, which is what we should be doing, and let corporate America off the hook. But corporate America will be paying because of the overseas tax, and some of the other provisions are very technical to go into right now.
Yeah.
We'll know more tomorrow to see what makes the cut.
What makes the cut?
And then it's worth it, the time to go into it.
There's also this issue of the debt ceiling.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, that's a different issue. That's separate.
It's a separate issue, but in terms of how you get it through the Congress to the President Biden's desk, maybe separate, maybe not. Congress acted to raise the debt ceiling through December 3rd. After that, Republican leader, Minority Leader Mitch McConnell says, "You're on your own. We're not going to provide any votes for Democrats." A default obviously would be devastating for the American economy, for the world economy. Are you willing to attach raising the debt ceiling to the social safety net package, or if not, to use reconciliation, which means only 51 votes needed in the Senate anyway, in order to get this done?
That's one path, but we're still hoping to have bipartisanship.
Hello. Here we go with the paths again. And why are you hoping for bipartisanship? Stop it. Only Dems are the ones like, oh, well, we hope for bipartisanship. We got to work across the aisle. We got to work together. Republicans like, meh, meh. What is happening here? What is happening? Shout out to Gina G. Had to pay $9,000 out of pocket for cosmetic jawbone and tooth implant surgery. Also broke my collarbone once, and the surgery I needed was $30,000 an elective. Jeez Louise. Thanks so much for the super chat, Gina. I told you guys, this stuff is expensive. Let's go back to Pantsy Nancy.
It seems that the American people should understand that what we're talking about is largely the Trump debt.
Right.
Now, we participated in some of it with COVID and the rest, but we didn't participate in giving a tax scam, 83% of the benefits to the top 1% that added $2 trillion to the debt. President Biden's part of this debt is about 3%.
Right.
And yet the Republicans, who when the former president was in office 3 times, we had to do something about the national debt. Now, look at what is in jeopardy. Even talking about it is not a good idea because, I mean, even placing in doubt whether it was
Right.
not a good idea because it can lower the credit rating of our country, as it did when the Republicans did not want to increase it when President Obama was president.
No. This is problematic. First of all, you can tell this woman is lying. Like, just look at her facial expressions. I mean, this is ridiculous. First of all, she goes, it'll ruin the credit of this country. Guys, Steve was just on here a couple days ago talking about the debt ceiling, how it's a myth, especially when you think about MMT. There they go lying again. I hate it with these lies, man. They're killing me. I want to shout out a couple of super chats. Thanks so much for the super chat, Roger Meadows. Oops, that's not Roger. That's the Traveler. Shout out Roger. If we passed New York Health Act, I'd be covered. Rather, I was visiting South Carolina and would cover mental, dental, drugs, ear, vision, nurse homes. Ooh, that's a big one. And hospice. This is important. This is why this act has to pass. Thanks so much for the super chat, Roger. I want to give a shout out to the Traveler as well for the super chat. If I'm not mistaken, Schumer voted against suspending the debt ceiling, not the December extension. Good points to bring up. Thanks so much for the super chat, the Traveler. All right, back to Pantsy.
Seems they're okay with it when there's a Republican president, but not a Democrat. 6 to 7 million jobs could be lost. $15 trillion in household wealth. Consequences that could last for decades.
Why not get rid of the debt ceiling?
Well, that's what we have a plan to do as well. There are a number of plans to do that, but would the Republicans agree to that before we again?
Okay. Well, so your mind is open in terms of whether or not you use reconciliation or whether or not you attach it to the social.
Well, we still would rather have bipartisanship, whether it's a Democratic president or Republican president.
But you probably won't have it, so you'll consider these options. Is all I'm saying. I want to ask you,
and it's very, very, very important.
Absolutely, the House voted on.
I'm sorry, I have to jump in again. Notice he's pushing back on her here. I don't really like Jake Tapper. I think he's annoying as well. But he's pushing back on her here, and he's like, why not just get rid of it altogether? And then the other thing that she said at the end of that is, yes, but we'd rather have bipartisanship. She's still fixated on this bipartisanship. She's still trying to work with Republicans. She's still trying to work across the aisle. They don't want to work with you. Some of these things can be done by executive order. This woman makes me sick. Shout out to Roger Meadows for the super chat. New York electronic voting started. Vote Y on all 5 ballot proposals. So guys, if you're in New York, that's a shout out to you. New York electronic voting started. Vote Y on all 5 ballot proposals. Thanks so much for the super chat, Roger. God, this woman drives me crazy. I can't, I won't, I don't. All right, Pantsy.
Friday to hold former Trump ally Steve Bannon in criminal contempt of Congress for ignoring a subpoena Do you think people who refuse to comply with congressional subpoenas should be prosecuted by the Justice Department and at the end of the day go to jail?
Yes,
You do?
I do. I do. Well, first of all, this, people say, well, this hasn't happened before. We haven't had an insurrection incited by the President of the United States and one of his toadies having knowledge of, advanced knowledge of that happening. So, in fact, it's important for a number of reasons. It's important for us to find the truth about what happened on January 6th, an assault on our Constitution, our Congress, and our Capitol. But it's also important in terms of the separation of power and the checks and balances of the Constitution, which is the genius of the Constitution.
Absolutely.
For this to happen in this way.
So, again, with the January 6th, I'm so sick of hearing about January 6th. Maybe she should put the same energy and effort into finding out about Hunter Biden's laptop. Maybe put the same energy and effort into finding out about Joe Biden's assault on Tara Reid. Take that same energy and do that. Oh, but you can only do it if it's a member of the other party. That's how this works. Shout out to Misanthropic and Out of Coffee. Compromise is always a great thing to the Democrats. Obama was our capitulator in chief. There you go. Thanks so much for the super chat. Misanthropic and Out of Coffee. Again, I love that name. It sounds like it could be a name of a band. Here she go.
You're willing, if the committee decides to subpoena Trump, you're willing to have that happen too?
I'm not. They have everything on the table. I don't get involved in the decisions of the committee. But when you say if he should do this and go to jail, well, he'll be tried and see what his court
hearing. I want you to take a listen to a key moment in which President Biden was talking about voting rights in the CNN town hall with Anderson Cooper the other night. Take a listen.
Take no listen. I've had enough. Look, I don't know if it was just me. She appeared to be nervous. She appeared to be unsure. She didn't appear to be confident. Maybe that's just me. Maybe it's just me. But this woman is just so full of it. Because my thing that really bothers me is the fact that at the end of the day, we can see the big thing for her is still trying to push bipartisanship. And she is going to be able, Joe Biden, the rest of them will be able to use that as their excuse for the reason why they can't get things done. Wasn't our fault. It was the Republicans. Nope. Wasn't me. Republicans. Couldn't give everybody health care because Republicans. Which Joe Biden could do that by executive order, by the way. Look at Libby, Montana. They've already done it. Couldn't cancel student loan debt because, the Republicans. Joe Biden can also do that by executive order. Shout out to Roger Meadows for the super chat. Early voting, trying to save money here, Sabs. Sabs do Rockfin. I am on Rockfin. Yeah, this is streaming on Rockfin as well. Yes, save your money, Roger. But thanks so much for the super chat. Delthea Simmons says she's lying. She micromanages all the committees. There you go. What can I say? What can I say, you guys? Now, there was another question that he was asking her too. That's a separate video. I want to pull that up for you as well, because I want to get your opinion on this, because he starts to ask her if she is going to run for office again. Now, you guys know Shahid Buttar was on here recently talking about his experience running against Nancy Pelosi. He's had to go through a lot. And I think for him, if anybody knows what it's like to run against her, it's him. I'm going to share this video because I want you to hear her response, because this was kind of funny. Hold on. Let me mute my mic.
I do want to ask about your own future in Congress. Are you going to run for re-election?
Oh, you think I'm going to make an announcement right here and now?
Yeah. Why not?
I'll
You
have
got
to be
lovely
on many
lighting.
more times than that.
You're going to run for re-election, though, yes?
Why would I tell you that now?
Well, it's not just me. It's the American
always-
people. It's the world. This is an international show.
Well, probably I would have that conversation with my family first, if you don't mind.
Okay. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Best of luck with the legislation.
Thank you.
I know it's
Thank
it's
you.
a
My
heavy
pleasure
lift.
to be here. Thank you.
I do want to ask about your own future in Congress. Are you going to run for re-election?
Oh, you think I'm going to make an announcement right here and now?
Yeah. Why not?
I'll
You
have to
got
be
lovely
on many
lighting.
more times than that.
You're going to run for re-election, though, yes?
Why would I tell you that now?
Well, it's not just me. It's the American
always-
people. It's the world. This is an international show.
Well, probably I would have that conversation with my family first, if you don't mind.
Okay. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Best of luck with the legislation.
Thank
I
you.
know it's
Thank
it's
you.
a
My
heavy
pleasure
lift.
to be here. Thank you.
Shout out to Roger Meadows for the super chat. What I meant was read Rockfin messages. I got too much to say. Yeah, I need to have a producer to do that because I have to have someone look at the other screen. I got 3 screens in front of me. I don't know if you guys probably can't see that, of course, the Sabrina. But I have 3 screens in front of me and 1 mouse. So that is something I do need to work on. I do need to get someone to produce on the background so that they can look at the Rockfin stuff and I look at the YouTube stuff. Because unfortunately in StreamYard, it only pulls up the comments that come from YouTube and that come from Twitter. I don't know why that is, because it's all synced through the same thing, but that's something to talk to StreamYard about. Definitely. I should write a letter. I'm going to write a letter. Just kidding. Shout out to Delthea Simmons for the super chat. 2 sides come to the table. One comes to compromise. One comes to win. Guess who gets what they want? And that's why Dems continue to lose. You're right about that, Delthea. That is very true. Thanks so much for the super chat. That's why we continue to lose. So he's asking Nancy Pelosi if she's thinking about running again. And she goes, I'm not going to say that right here. What he should be asking her to go along with that question, are you actually going to have a debate this time? This woman hasn't had to debate anyone since the 80s. She didn't debate Shahid Buttar. How is that even allowed? How is that even possible? That's BS. I think every candidate should have to debate. It's just ridiculous. It's just a given. You're giving her the seat. That's not right. Come on. Even the president of the United States, if they're up for re-election, even they have to debate. Absolutely ridiculous. Shout out to Noli D. No, the Dems are winning every time. The Republicans win. They on the same team. It's a good point. It's one corporate party, you guys. One party, not 2. Exactly, Sweet Drifter. It's a good point. Escobar's show says she's completely corrupt. It doesn't really matter if she runs again or not. You know why? Because if she doesn't, they'll just put someone else in her spot to do the same thing. Same thing that she's doing. Word on the street is that her daughter is next in line. Trying to create a political dynasty here, you guys. That's what they're trying to do, just like the Kennedys. Lawrence Johnson says, only 1 more year, Sabby. When Dems lose the House, Nancy will be out of power. Might as well retire. I mean, at this point, why would you run again? Just retire. Unless you just want to hold back and stop progress. Phenomenal Mysticism said Nancy Pelosi almost got into a debate with Wolf Blitzer once on CNN. Yeah, he's a trip, huh? He's a piece of work. Something else. Buying Cannabis said, do you know what pisses me off when you see these anchors interviewing politicians? It's almost like watching a couple of buddies chatting. It shouldn't fucking freaking, oh, okay, be like that. No, it shouldn't be like that. But they're their friends. They're in the same circle. They're in the same circle. They have access to them too. Easy access. And that brings me into my third story tonight, you guys. Mr. Joe Biden is fumbling again. Again, young people are the ones that are going to be screwed over. And this is a problem. They don't care about young people in this country. They do not. Check this out. Here we go. Free community college is out of Biden's plan, but a bigger Pell Grant could still help cut costs. I'm going to tell you about these Pell Grants in a minute. Don't get excited. Don't get excited. Let's see if the video will play. And it doesn't want to.
But I promise you, I guarantee you, we're going to get free community college in the next several years. Across the board.
What was that conversation when you realized you weren't going to be able to get it in this bill at this time, and you had dinner with Dr. Biden that night? What was that conversation like? How'd you break that news?
Well, the White House has a lot of bedrooms. And she went like this, down the hall.
All right.
No, look, it really makes a gigantic difference. And think of this. You have more countries in the world with providing college, providing professional education beyond 12 years. We rank like, I think it's, don't hold me to the number, I think it's 16 or 17 in the world. The United States of America, for God's sake. This is about putting us in the game.
All right, so I'm going to read on here because there's something I have to tell you about these Pell Grants because I actually had experience with Pell Grants. Listen to this. President Joe Biden's plan to make tuition free at community colleges is unlikely to make it into the final bill to expand the nation's social safety net. But boosting the federal Pell Grant is still on the table and could have a big impact for low-income students. It won't. It won't. Trust me, I know about this. The latest proposal would add $500, woohoo, to the maximum Pell Grant, currently set at $6,000. I'm sorry. A big 500, man. Currently set at $6,495. The award, a key part of the federal financial aid system since the 1970s, doesn't need to be paid back and can be used by qualifying low-income students to pay for tuition fees, room and board, as well as other education-related costs. The proposed boost is smaller than the $1,400 increase Biden originally called for in his Build Back Better agenda and falls well short of his campaign pledge to double the maximum amount, something many Democrats have been pushing in recent years. Negotiations are ongoing over Biden's 10-year spending plan, originally priced at $3.5 trillion, and changes could still be made. Some moderate Democrats are concerned the price tag is too big. And Biden revealed this week that some of his priorities won't make the cut, including his plan to make 2 years of tuition free at community colleges. Again, they throw the young people out. They don't care. Now, let me tell you something about these Pell Grants. Let's go down here. Pell Grants don't cover as much as they used to. I'm surprised CNN is actually admitting this because that is true. Pell Grants are available to undergraduates at public and private four-year colleges too. Roughly 7 million students have received a Pell Grant annually over the past 5 years. The amount of the grant is awarded on a sliding scale and is based on the family's estimated financial need. This is a huge problem. It is an estimated financial need. You don't really know what that family's financial need is. It's just an estimation. The smallest award is currently $650. Let me pop out. All right, here's the problem. The Pell Grant alone, that's not enough. So I actually applied for a Pell Grant for undergrad. I didn't get it. They said my parents made too much money. My parents did not make too much money, but according to them, they did. Because it's based on the estimated financial need. They don't really know what my parents need financially. They're just going off of the income. And here's the problem with this, because depending on where you live in this country, your income should not be a disqualifier. And I'm going to tell you why. Let's say you're making $60,000 a year. Depending on where you live, that could be a lot. If you're making $60,000 a year and you live in Arkansas or Mississippi, that's a decent amount of money. You can do pretty well off of that. But if you're making $60,000 a year and you live in New York or you live here in Massachusetts, your needs are not going to be the same. This is why I don't like when they means test things. This is why I said they should have never means test the stimulus package. They should have just given it to everybody. All this means testing, even with the childcare, the free pre-K that they want to do. Now they're trying to say, oh, it's for 3 and 4-year-olds, which is interesting too, because depending on when the child's birthday is, that can affect things as well. And then to go along with that, you have to think about the fact that when we're means testing these things, what looks good on paper financially is not always the reality of your situation, the situation that you are living. So these Pell Grants, it's not a lot. The maximum they told you is like 6,900 something. Okay. Even some of the public colleges in the United States, that's not enough. It's not. Look up tuition for the University of North Carolina at Chapel Hill. Great school, by the way. State school. It's expensive. University of Massachusetts is expensive. That Pell Grant, if you're coming from a low-income family and your parents can't afford to pay for your college at all, and you don't get any type of scholarship, you're still going to have to take out student loans. You're still going to have to pay those student loans back. So adding an extra $500 to the Pell Grant is not going to save you. That's the problem. Stop means testing it. Just give the freaking free community college. It's 2 years. We have free K through 12. Come on. This shouldn't even be an issue anymore for community college. But again, when it's time to cut things, and I've seen this time and time again, whether it's state or whether it's federal, they always want to come after the things that the youth will be affected by. Cut the community colleges. Oh, well, sorry. Sucks for you. Go work at McDonald's or something. Cut healthcare. Oh, you got to go to the doctor. You can't afford it. Sorry. Sucks for you. Maybe you should have went to college and get a good job. Oh, but you can't do that because there's no free college here and your parents couldn't afford to send you. And you didn't want to take out so many student loans because you didn't want to go into student loan debt. But oh, yes, shame on you. Guys, it's a cycle. If you are born into poverty, it is extremely difficult to get out. Don't let mainstream media tell you that, well, Oprah did it. Well, LeBron did it. Those people are outliers. I've talked about this on the show multiple times. The majority of people who are born into poverty do not get out. It is a problem. Sorry, guys. I get really frustrated about education. That's my field. So I've seen a lot of these things in practice. I know how it works, and I've seen the failures. You got to cover it all. You got to cover it all. They're not even like matching this up with tuition. You know how expensive college is today? Extremely expensive. And for some of these state schools, by the way, if you are out of state and you get into a state school that's outside of your state. So if I live in Massachusetts and I get into a state school in New York, now I got to pay out of state tuition. They're not getting it. They're not getting it. Even the article said the Pell Grant today does not go far enough. No, it doesn't. What's that $500 going to do? Do you guys know like how much my books cost in undergrad? Like $500. So there goes your extra 500. Cam said, exactly. I can't even afford college and my major isn't offered in my state. That's another thing. And I'm glad you brought that up, Cam, because it's a reality. My sister was telling me recently about vet schools in this country. I didn't know this. Did you guys know? Apparently, there is a short, limited supply of vet schools in this country. So if you want to go to vet school, you don't have that many options. There may not even be one in your state. Jamie hit the nail on the head. Apply to German schools. You can go for free mostly. And this is true. You can do this. In fact, a friend of mine told her daughter to do this when she's ready to go to college. Go to college overseas where it's free. And it's free for Americans too. You don't have to be a German citizen. I don't understand why people want to come here to go to school. It's expensive. Let me tell you, if we were still living in Germany by the time I went to college, I would have went to college right there in Germany, knowing what I know now. Shout out to Roger Meadows for the super chat. High schoolers take a page from striking workers demanding more money from jobs. Boycott college for 2 to 4 years. College costs come down real quick. Oh. You know what, Roger? That's a good idea. That is a really good idea. Boycott college for 2 to 4 years. Hitflix says that sounds good if you speak German. So, from my experience, when I lived in Germany, most people that I met spoke English and German. I remember we went to a German school on a field trip. We had really good food on that trip. I always remember trips by food. And I remember they were telling us that, like, the kids, this was like an elementary school, the kids at the German school, they were teaching them English and German at the same time. It wasn't even like you take this elective. It was like, no, you learn both. When I was in Montreal, I was told the same thing. We were at a game and one of the girls in front of the game, she said that growing up here, we had to learn both French and English. I'm telling you, I don't understand it. I guess, grass is greener kind of thing. But we have a lot of international students here in Boston. And I wonder this sometimes. I'm like, man, if you're coming from a country where your school is free, why do you want to go to school here? Save your money. Yeah, I agree, Jamie. I agree with Roger. High schoolers boycotting college is a good idea. Now, I don't like to just talk about the problems. I also like to talk about solutions. And this brings me to a possible solution. There are other companies that are thriving right now. They actually started to grow during the pandemic because there was a lot of remote learning where you can just learn what you need to learn for the field that you want to go into, and that's it. And it's cheaper. You can still live at home if you want to. You can learn online or you can go in person. One of those companies is called General Assembly. I've taken free classes at General Assembly. It's really helpful. Their instructors are actually pretty good. And they are doing whole programs in like UX design, learning R, Python. It's cheaper than doing it at a university, and you don't have to take all these fluff classes. Because if you think about it, if you take out all the classes that you had to take as your, required for it to get the degree, I had to take a lot of classes that had nothing to do with my major. 3 histories, 2 English classes, a couple of science classes, I forget how many, in the labs and all that stuff, had nothing to do with my major, nothing. But if you remove those classes, I could have been done in 2 years, bro. 2 years. They make you take all that extra stuff so they can get more money. What do you know? Shout out Everett. Preach it, Sabby. And by the way, you were great on Crosstalk. Oh, thank you so much. Thanks. Yeah, guys, I was on RT's Crosstalk a couple days ago. I posted that. I shared it to my channel as well if you want to see it. We're talking about the justice system and the duopoly. So yeah, that was a good discussion. I like that. But yes, look into those kind of things. So if you're young, high school, and you're watching this, or if you have a teenager at home and you're wondering, like, how the hell am I going to pay for college? And I don't want my kid to take out all these student loans. Look into some of these other programs, man, like Launch Academy, I think is one, General Assembly. They're all online. They have realized that there is a way for people to just get the tools that they need to get the jobs that they need. Screw all the fluff, screw the campus fees and all that jazz, and make it cheaper. And they graduate quicker. Last time I talked to General Assembly, they said they have grown with the high school senior population. They are growing. Used to be career changers sought out General Assembly. Now they said ever since the pandemic, they saw an increase in high school seniors as well. And that is my advice to you. That's one of the solutions I would like to recommend. You don't have to have that traditional 4-year college experience. You don't. I know I'm the pot calling the kettle black because I had that. But if I could do it all over again, knowing what I know now, I would have done things differently. Yeah, college was fun. I met some cool people. But I met cool people after college too. So one of those things, Thank you so much, Pat. Yes, Sabby was a great on Crosstalk. It was a great conversation. Thanks so much. Sean said, looking at the cost of college makes me so glad that I really dropped out of high school. Yo, it's expensive, dude. It's expensive. I can't remember who was saying this, but I saw it on a talk show. Older person. They said that when they went to college, they were paying like $50 per class for tuition. $50 per class. I can't get anything at college for $50. It's so insane. It's so insane, man. But I don't want to preach to you guys, but I'm just telling you from my experience. Don't feel like you have to go. There's nothing wrong with not going to college. You can still have decent living without going to college. The myth that they told my generation, those of us that are millennials, is that in order for us to have a decent living or to have the same lifestyle as our parents, we had to go to school. That's what we had to do. And I bought into it. A lot of people bought into it. But the reality was we didn't have to do that. I look back on it. There are so many other things we could have done. You guys know dental hygienists. A friend of mine is a dental hygienist. She started off making $60,000 a year. She only went to school for 2 years. She gets to clean teeth. She has no debt. So many other things. And not to mention some of the majors, I'm going on a tangent now, but some of the majors that a lot of the colleges offer, you can't even get a job with. Some of these liberal arts colleges, don't get me wrong, I like, the arts as well. But let's be real here. You can't get jobs with these degrees. And these colleges are still charging all this money for it. Jean said cleaning teeth sounds really boring. Oh, Jean. I think I would be like happy about something like that. I have like this teeth obsession thing. I don't know why. Pat is giving a good suggestion here. You could work during the summer and pay for your college, and you could work in a store. Oh, maybe that was when, like, back in the day. Yeah, it's just so different now. So different. And I know some people, they hate on people who are strippers, and they do it so that they can pay for their college tuition. Listen, don't hate on strippers. People do what they can to get the things that they need to get. Because at the end of the day, is the problem really the strip clubs, or is the problem really capitalism? I think it's the latter. Just being honest. Natalie said everything is too expensive for the majority of us these days. We're being nickeled, dimed, and repeatedly reamed daily. It's expensive. Dude, I was at the grocery store the other day because I was making a fall soup. And I was like, oh my God, is it just me, or did the food prices increase? We got to learn how to start doing some of these things for ourselves. We got to start thinking outside the box, start growing our own food, start helping each other instead of relying on all of our products and sources coming from corporations. This is something that my mom was really good at, by the way, and my grandma. I'm sure she got it from my grandma, that they knew how to make things. My mom can make pretty much anything. If you needed clothes, she knows how to sew. They know how to, these aren't things that a lot of us are being taught now. How many schools still have home ec classes? How many schools still have wood shop? Learning how to make things. We got to get back to that, man. Valerie said, I did the tech school thing and got a job, but due to health, couldn't keep doing it. Hence the money I had to pay for my 4-year degree. Yeah. Yeah. It's unfortunate. That's another thing too, Sometimes life happens. It's just a reality. Yeah, Noli D, another one, auto shop. Auto shop. All these things that they used to teach kids in schools, they don't do it anymore. Why? Why? We should know how to build things, you guys. We should know how to cook. And not just women. All of us should know how to learn how to cook, man. Because one thing I think that the pandemic kind of woke people up to, for my friends that don't know how to cook at all, they were just like, oh my God, how am I going to get food? They closed everything down here in Boston. And I'm like, girl, you haven't learned how to cook. You got to learn how to cook. I want to share something sweet with you guys because I don't want to end on a bad note. There was something I saw, and this really made me smile. And I just want to show you that there is still humanity. There are still people out there who do care and are trying their best to make things better. I saw this. It's called Dads on Duty. I want you guys to watch this, what these gentlemen are doing.
Not many good news.
Let me mute my mic. This is happening in Louisiana. And this just goes to show you, first of all, I want to say we do not need police officers in schools. These dads realized that, and here's what they did. So I don't like to just talk about bad news. I want to show you good news as well. Because I've said this time and time again, you don't need police officers in school. And I think these dads are showing that. And it's true. Because I remember growing up, what the girl said in the video was true. All I had to get was a look from my dad, and I knew, well, he didn't have to say anything. It's true. It's the look. Yes, Jamie, it's the look. This is an example of how we can help each other in our community and not rely on politicians to do it for us. This is another example of something that we can do and not rely on politicians. So I saw that video over the weekend and it really just made me smile. There's nothing more, it just warms my heart. I'm sorry. I'm a little, little gushy because it warms my heart to see like a group of dads like come to the school and correct things without violence, without a badge, without a gun. And I think that's important. So I don't know if you would consider this a part of like mutual aid, but this is an example of ways that we can help within our community and not have to rely on politicians. And so, yeah, that made me smile. I'm going to try to do that going forward, try to end on a good note, some positive news to give you guys hope. As for that, you know how we do this. Have a good night. Keep up the fight.